United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Missoula County acknowledges that this event takes place in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish and Kalispel people. Cheryl, we have a public announcement.
Hello, everyone. If you're joining us for this meeting virtually today, instructions for turning on closed captioning are on your screen. If you're joining us in person, we'll have closed captioning on all the screens here in the Sophie Louise room. Just a friendly reminder, there will be multiple chances during the meeting for public comment in person and virtually. The chair will open discussion for public comment after each staff presentation. Please respectfully keep your comments to 3 minutes. If you're on Microsoft Teams, we ask that you use the raise hand feature. This is the small hand button at the top of your screen. If you're calling in on the phone, you'll need to push *5 to raise your hand. Then once called upon, you'll need to push *6 to unmute. If you have any questions during the meeting, please come and find me. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl. Okay, do we have any public comment on items not on the agenda? So that's not about Blackfoot Crossing or the TS Overlook Minor Subdivision. If you don't want to talk about those things, you're welcome to talk about anything else for 3 minutes. Okay, nobody online. I thought I walked in here with Travis, but okay, great. You are welcome to participate in any way you like. Okay, our first hearing, this is on the TS Overlook Minor Subdivision, and Katie Reeder will present.
Thank you, Commissioners. For the record, my name is Katie Reeder, planner with Planning Development and Sustainability.
Connected to CAS use 853 and EKHOME.
This is a proposal submitted by Trent and Sally Looker. Joining us today is Ken Jenkins with Montana Northwest Company, serving as the project's technical rep. The subject property is situated west of Highway 10 and south of Pulp Mill Road at 9501 Western Farms Road, approximately 2 miles northwest of the Y. The applicants are proposing to subdivide 24.56 acres into 3 lots, which results in an average density of approximately 1 home per 8.18 acres. No variances were needed as part of this proposal. Here's a graphic showing the overall layout of the proposal. Lot A is located at the northern part of the property, Lot B is centrally located, and Lot C runs along the southern boundary. The preliminary plat was quite large, so I've broken each lot into separate slides to provide a closer view of the proposed configuration and improvements. Here's a close-up of Lot A with the access off of Western Farm Road here. Next is Lot B. Their access is right here, also off of Western Farms Road. And then lastly, here's Lot C, which contains the existing single-family residence. Along the southern boundary of the property, you can see the delineated riparian resource protection area and the riparian resource buffer associated with O'Keefe Creek. I will go into more detail on those protections later in the presentation. The site consists of rolling dryland pasture with moderately undulating topography and low-growing grasses. Along the southern boundary of the parcel adjacent to O'Keefe Creek, there is a narrow riparian corridor located on proposed Lot C. That area has been identified and designated as a no-build, no-development zone to protect the existing natural habitat. TS Overlook was reviewed under these primary criteria outlined in state laws and the Missoula County zoning and subdivision regulations. These criteria include agriculture, agricultural water user facilities, local services, natural and cultural environment, wildlife, wildlife habitat, and public health and safety. The subdivision is subject to the 2019 Missoula Area Land Use Element, an amendment to the 2016 Missoula County Growth Policy. The land use designation for this area is rural residential and agriculture, recommending a density range between 1 dwelling per 10 acres and 1 dwelling per 2 acres. The subject property is located in the Agriculture Rural Residential Zoning District, commonly referred to as AGRR5, meaning 5-acre minimum lot size and 1 dwelling unit per 5 acres. State and local regulations require subdivisions to mitigate impacts to agriculture and agricultural water user facilities. Section 3.14 of the Missoula County Subdivision Regulations provides this review to balance development and agriculture preservation. The subject property consists entirely of soils classified as non-prime farmland and has historically been used for grazing. An existing water right provides livestock access. O'Keefe Creek runs along the southern portion of the property and has historically provided limited livestock access to what is now Lot C. No expansion of water withdrawals or agricultural use is proposed. The subdivision maintains relatively large lot sizes ranging from 7 to 10.5 acres, which preserves the rural development pattern. Additionally, no disturbance is proposed within the creek corridor and no impacts to agricultural water user facilities are anticipated. The subdivision is served by Western Farms Road, a privately maintained roadway with a 60-foot right-of-way and approximately 26 feet of gravel travel surface, exceeding the Missoula County subdivision regulation minimums of a 40-foot right-of-way and an 18-foot travel surface. Western Farms Road connects to Pulp Mill Road, a state-maintained roadway with sufficient capacity to serve the proposed subdivision. An additional easement is shown on Lot C to accommodate a small portion of roadway that extends outside the existing easement area. Lot C is already developed and served by an existing driveway with adequate width, clearance, and turnaround space for emergency vehicles, while Lots A and B will be served by new individual approaches connecting to Western Farms Road. A recorded road maintenance agreement applies to all 3 lots and assigns responsibility for roadway maintenance and funding. The agreement runs with the land and may not be amended without approval from the Board of County Commissioners. Based on ITE trip generation estimates, the subdivision is expected to generate approximately 20 additional vehicle trips per day, which is not considered a significant impact on Western Farms Road or Pope Mill Road. The Montana Department of Transportation reviewed the proposal and confirmed they will likely require improvement permits at the intersection of Western Farm Road and Pulp Mill Road. New individual domestic wells are proposed for lots A and B. The existing well on lot C produces approximately 15 gallons per minute, which demonstrates adequate domestic supply. Although the static water level for that well is unknown, nearby well logs indicate groundwater depths significantly greater than 15 feet below ground surface, suggesting consistent aquifer conditions in this area. No groundwater mitigation areas are present. In accordance with House Bill 681, a condition of approval requires submittal of a notice of intent for exempt well water usage, and final water allocations per lot will be recorded in the subdivision covenants. Lot A and B will be served by individual septic systems. Since Lot C has existing facilities, DEQ will not require a review. Local services are available to support the proposed subdivision. The subdivision is located within the Frenchtown School District. Based on the scale of the subdivision, the project is estimated to add approximately 2 to 3 school-aged children and is not anticipated to measurably impact school capacity. Fire protection for the subdivision will be provided by the Frenchtown Rural Fire District, with the nearest station located approximately 4 miles from the property. Ambulance services are provided by Missoula Emergency Services, located approximately 10 miles away. Development covenants include mitigation measures intended to support emergency response, including clear addressing for each lot and requirements that driveways exceeding 150 feet include a turnaround area for emergency vehicles. Parcel C already contains an existing driveway approximately 405 feet long, which provides adequate clearance and turnaround near the residence. The property is located within the wildland-urban interface, and the wildfire hazard assessment resulted in a score of 48, which falls within the moderate hazard category. To mitigate wildfire risk, the proposed covenants require NFPA 13D residential fire sprinkler systems for future homes, subject to review during building permit issuance. A riparian area associated with O'Keefe Creek is located on Lot C. Vegetation includes Douglas hawthorn, sandbar willow, and water sedge, and aerial imagery shows riparian vegetation along the creek has expanded over time. The subdivision design protects this area through a no-build, no-disturbance zone, including a 50-foot riparian protection area and a 75-foot riparian buffer consistent with Missoula County regulations. A riparian resource management plan will be recorded with the subdivision covenants, and the protection areas will be shown on the final plat. No new disturbance is proposed within the riparian area. The subject property does not contain any FEMA mapped floodplain. However, because O'Keefe Creek is located nearby and drains more than 5 square miles, Missoula County subdivision regulations require evaluation of potential flood risk. The applicant's representative analyzed the potential impacts for a 100-year flood event on O'Keefe Creek at this location. The analysis estimates a 100-year flow of approximately 400 cubic feet per second and indicates that the creek channel would only be partially filled during such an event. Based on this analysis and the presence of the established riparian protection area and buffer, which prohibit construction near the creek, the Missoula County Floodplain Administrator determined that a full flood study would not be required. The flood analysis was conducted recently and is attached to the staff report. State law gives the governing body discretion on whether a new hearing is required for new information. Staff's recommendation is to proceed with a decision today and not require a new hearing. And with that, staff is recommending approval. Commissioners, here's your language.
Thanks a lot, Katie. Is Ken here?
For the record, Ken Jenkins with Montana Northwest Company. I'll be short and sweet. We find the recommended conditions of approval make sense, and we are in agreement with those, and I would be happy to answer questions if you have any.
Thank you. Dave? Anybody from the public like to speak on this? Or online? Just in the room? Do we have anybody online? Okay, Dave, I think we're...
Okay, I move to approve TS Overlook Minor Subdivision based on the findings of fact and conclusions of law in the staff report and subject to the recommended conditions of approval.
Second.
Okay, any public comment on this? Okay, seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks, Katie.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Ken. Okay, now we are going to jump to the Blackfoot Minor Subdivision, and we are going to start. Oh,
Just do
Please.
a little intro. So it is growth policy amendment, rezoning. Kathleen gave a presentation last week. Minor subdivision, 5 lots with 3 variances. I gave a presentation. Drew discussed the TED district. We had public comment. Applicant is requesting today, if you're willing, to continue to allow public comment first.
Okay.
So we are sure to get everybody today.
great,
And
thank
then
you.
they will present.
I was just going to ask that, so
Okay.
thank you very much.
All right.
Awesome. So we will jump right to public comment, and I just want to remind you of a couple things. 3 minutes, and Dave will operate the shot clock. Because we would love to finish by 5 o'clock, if you already spoke, I would encourage you not to speak again unless you have something new to add. And if you feel like someone has echoed your sentiments, you don't need to come speak. You are welcome to. No one is prohibited. But just in the essence of managing our time well, just be conscious of that. And I thought you all did a great job last time. Everybody was polite, We were able to figure out we're not supposed to clap or yell. We did a really good job. So I want to encourage us all to do that level of good job again, and off we go. Travis, you see your new
Hello.
clock?
Yeah, I see the clock. It's ticking. Man, I love 3 minutes to express myself. Travis Mateer, 26-year Missoula resident. I made a documentary about tax increment financing once upon a time. So I know that TIF is very similar to TEDD. I can speak acronym. I'm going to be a code switcher, like interpreter today. And so TED, I understand, is the Targeted Economic Development District. And I just want to generally warn that that is a way of sort of starving the essential response mechanisms, first responders, some of the entities I like to parody with Legos. And so I'm looking specifically now at things like Town Pump and this little plot of land. And I would warn this development when they're using magical words like missing middle, hoping to conjure more government funds to make this housing, that just because you cast those spells rhetorically doesn't mean that you're going to be able to disperse reality of rampant drug trafficking, human trafficking, things that happen along Interstate 90. The kind of stuff that doesn't care about jurisdictions. And so I really, really encourage people to get more aware, more active, more engaged, more informed. Unfortunately, local media doesn't always do that. There's a Missoulian building currently that I'm looking at all the nasty, gross stuff on the property. But local city police like to do training there. So I think it's kind of cool that they can just stand around. But we need to be more smart with our resources. And so I just don't want to see TED duplicated in the way TIF has already starved the response capacity. And I know there's already a little bit of smarting when it comes to the sheriff's office, the jail, and Trinity Housing. Sometimes handshakes don't always mean what you think they mean. And sometimes sheriffs want to turn from the Democrats into Republicans. Not our current one. Our current one, I think he loves the D. I have about a minute left, but I think I've said enough. I think I've said enough. Thanks. I'm going to keep that green on.
Thanks, Travis. Anybody else? Oh, that's amazing. Folks on.
We've got someone.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thanks.
I push the button.
It's green. I think Travis left it on for you.
Okay, thanks. My name is Rachel Powers. I live in the West Riverside neighborhood. My family and I moved there about 13 years ago. Upon moving there, the enormous monstrosity thoughtlessly placed at the confluence of the Blackfoot and Clark Fork rivers was unaffectionately dubbed the Bonner Mall by the community. And as it was already established, there was no chance that it could be opposed. However, this is our chance to oppose and prevent a second monstrosity directly across the street from the first, just as close to the river and our recently recovered Superfund site, and even closer to our neighborhood. This area has historically been an affordable neighborhood for working class families, and as a result, many of us own our homes, most of which needed extensive TLC, and which makes us all very invested in our community. In the time that we've lived in West Riverside, we have developed strong connections and friendships with our neighbors, helped each other with home projects, and watched over each other's children as they've grown. We have poured blood, sweat, and tears into the rehabilitation of our 100-year-old dilapidated and long neglected home, with all projects being completed by us and, when lucky enough, help from our neighbors. After 13 years, I'm happy to say that we have slightly fewer projects that need to be completed. But importantly, we have made our house, and by extension our neighborhood, better than when we found it, and something that we can pass down to our children. This outside developer has spent the last year or so trying to sell us his vision of a community. He has shown us a Disney-fied version of affordable, sustainable homes, trails and sidewalks, and a clean wastewater treatment facility. He has declared that there will be no adverse effects on our water quality or quantity, either to the river or to the aquifer that we all depend on as a water source. From the beginning, I've been dubious of his vision. After all, his guiding purpose is profit, while we pay the price. This recent bait and switch has solidified my distrust and has revealed that he is not invested enough to make decisions on our behalf. We will be the ones dealing with the permanent dust, noise, smell, traffic, light pollution, and very likely water contamination and/or shortage. To the commissioners, I urge you, do your job. Prioritize the opinions and legitimate concerns of county residents over the bottom line of an outside developer who will be gone with his bags of money for him and his investors as soon as the damage has been done. To the developer, If you are satisfied with the Travel Plaza being the inevitable face and legacy of your project, it is in opposition of what you've been claiming. We demand that as a guest in our community with intentions to degrade our quality of life to pay for your project, that you do better. If not, you should show how much you at least pretend to care about our community and move along. Myself and many of the community are not against businesses or new neighbors moving in, but they should reflect the needs of the community already here. This is why I support the rezoning of the area currently proposed as commercial center to the vastly more appropriate neighborhood center designation.
Rachel, you just hit 3 minutes.
In closing,
Sorry, we're going to stick with the 3 minutes for everybody.
okay.
I appreciate you coming today. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tori Proby, and I'm a resident of West Riverside. I care deeply about the responsible development of our community, and I'm so happy to see all of these passionate people here today. Thank you for giving me the time to voice my opinion. I'm in favor of rezoning the plot in question to Neighborhood Center. The Bonner Log Yard is a TED. You will hear a lot about this as reasoning why the developer needs to seize the opportunity by December of this year for county-funded tax incentives, TIF, to be applicable for his development. However, TEDs and TIFs are county-fabricated tools, and therefore should reflect to the wishes and consent of the community they are meant to serve. Locally, the Bonner Mill site recently benefited from becoming a TED and from the development of businesses such as Posh Chocolate, Kettle House Amphitheater, and Zootown Training. All of these developments increase the likelihood of density-friendly housing and further development east of Missoula. These developments, I am immensely proud to say, came from great planning and forethought from our county commissioners and are very deserving of the governmental subsidies they received. They are desired amenities, and the communities are thrilled to have them. This is the kind of development, along with housing, the community wants, the community needs, and will serve Missoula County for generations. As per the Bonner West Log Yard Comprehensive Development Plan, which lays out exact restrictions and goals for the county incentivized projects, tools used by the city, county, and other governing bodies should reflect the values of its citizens they serve and effectively accomplish the goals to A, protect critical lands and natural resources, and B, enhance cultural and social resources and the valued characteristics of our communities. And economic and social well-being is tied to the natural environment. Long-term economic stability and a high-quality living environment should not be sacrificed for short-term economic gain. Page 7. Finally, it is stated as a goal that county tools should conserve resources and minimize transportation demand in rural areas by structuring commercial centers around existing facilities. Page 9. Reading these development plans and understanding Bonner West Riverside's strong opposition to a truck stop, along with their enthusiastic support of sustainable growth and development, I believe approving the proposed zoning to CC in order to allow a truck stop would fundamentally go against the letter and the spirit of Missoula County's TEDs. We, the community, don't want it. It would increase sprawl where density is needed. It would lower our economic and social well-being by depleting our natural environment. I believe that we should amend the current zoning from heavy industrial to neighborhood center, which would encourage mixed-use development and the type of sustainable growth for housing expansion needed in Missoula County. Thank you.
Thank you, Tori. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, no problem. Appreciate the sentiment. Anyone else? You're welcome.
My name is Lindsay Campbell, and I had the pleasure of growing up on 2nd Street with a log yard as my neighbor. My family still lives on that house on 2nd Street, and now my family is also spread out and scattered throughout West Riverside. It's because of them and the future I want for them and their children that I'm up here speaking. I've learned a lot through this process, far more than I ever really wanted to know about land use zoning, water rights, wells, DEQ, TEDs, or TIFs. I've learned that Montana has abysmal notification requirements, and I've also learned that I might be among the minority. I live by the motto, trust but verify, and if something sounds fishy and smells fishy, it probably is because it is. I've also learned about TEDs and TIFs. I've learned that there's a comprehensive development plan for the Bonner Log Yard, and that the governing body should use these tools reflected in the values of the citizens they serve to effectively accomplish the goals and protect vital land, natural resources, and enhance the cultural and social resources that are valuable characteristics to each neighborhood. You've heard over and over again about what a unique and awesome place Bonner and West Riverside is. You've heard about the very rare natural gifts. You've heard about the river. You've heard about the community. And you've also heard what the community wants. We don't want a truck stop. We want neighborhood-centered development and not transient highway-centric development. We don't want people warehousing. We want a community. I'm not going to beat the dead horse. If you haven't gotten the message, me repeating it, it's not going to help. But what I am going to say is remind you that don't take anything being promised as a fact or a guarantee. Don't trust, because we all know that's not how business, and that's not what Montana zoning law works. If housing was in fact guaranteed on this, there'd be residential only zoning requested in this, and there's not. We all know it. We all know it's not a guarantee. So I ask you, become the minority. Think critically, think ahead. Your decision today doesn't just impact the people in the room. It impacts their children and their grandchildren and an entire community. I ask that you listen to the community. We spoke up. We said what we wanted. We live here. We vote for you. We gave you the power to make the change. You can alter the community forever. You can make the decision that honors the people that actually live in this community, the people that it's going to impact. We ask you make the right decision. Listen to us. Do what we ask. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys are welcome to make a line if you like.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me all right? All right. So the first gallon, I'm Dave Thompson from Frenchtown. Sorry about that. By the time the first gallon is pumped from the next Missoula County Travel Plaza, self-driving trucks are going to be driving nonstop across country and driving right past our exits. I bet this seems like a problem for 5 or 10 years from now, but it's coming really fast. Compared to what Tesla's trying to build, driving on freeways is nothing, and it's already in rental cars. These trucks are going to drive from truck yard to truck yard, across country, nonstop. They're going to drop their trailers off. Humans are going to do the last few miles of delivery. The economics of this are too brutal to deny, right? And you're a truck company, you get the same truck in your fleet, no driver to pay, you can double or even triple your miles. The machines don't need to sleep, they don't get drowsy, they don't get distracted, they don't get drunk, and they don't prop their phone up on the dashboard to watch TikTok videos. It's closer than we think, and right now these manufacturers are doing everything they can to get regulatory approval in the current administration, and that clock is ticking. Once it's approved nationally, this technology will be adopted like the ancients adopted gunpowder. Any logistics company who continues to pay humans to drive long haul will go out of business. I understand the basics of the TED. I understand the need to capitalize a water system, but the decision needs to consider the economics of the future as well. Self-driving is about to do to travel plazas what Amazon did to bookstores. I do urge the commissioners here to adopt NC zoning for this area. I understand it's not the easy answer, but I think it's the right answer. I also call on the community to rally around the developer to find rapid and creative solutions to this problem so we can bring businesses in that locals want. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. I saw a hand up there. You're welcome to walk to the front.
Good afternoon. My name is Jessica Glebke. My husband, Matt Wegner, and I's property is on the corner of First Street and West Riverside Drive, within 500 feet of Mr. Morse's property. I serve on the Bonner Milltown Community Council and the Missoula County Parks and Trails Advisory Board. However, these comments are my own. My husband and I oppose the proposed zoning changes to Commercial Center. We also ask that the proposed neighborhood commercial area intended for residential development not be zoned neighborhood commercial, but zoned with density closer to the West Riverside neighborhood. Neighborhood commercial has no density cap, which would leave the county without a mechanism to cap density should this property change hands. I've been involved with community scoping on this site before Mr. Morse bought the property. Our community needs and has asked for goods and services that do not currently exist here. We do not need a 15-acre redundancy, 15 acres that could have been used to serve all of the local traffic that passes through this conduit every day, and not just more pizza and corn dogs. Our historic neighborhood both benefits and suffers from our location. The current truck stop and highways create noise, air, and light pollution in abundance. There are those that would say we already have a truck stop. Why are we so opposed to another? Why is it okay to make a neighborhood worse because it already has undesirable qualities? I attended and spoke at the planning board meeting where this project was rubber stamped. Those of us raising concern received what was essentially a thanks but. Towards the end, after they had already voted to approve, one of the board members said, "Gee, Gregory, I hope you've done this kind of project before, haha." Why didn't they ask this relevant question in the course of deciding to approve? Mr. Morse has not developed a project like this before. What happens if TIFs continue to be in the crosshairs of the 2027 Montana legislature, or there are construction delays and the TED sunsets? If the truck stop is built and no housing moves forward, West Riverside will be stuck with a blight we didn't ask for or need. Some have said this truck stop will be different due to newer setbacks and that the residential development will still have a process of approvals to get through despite the liberal zoning. My recent experience with the planning board left me with zero faith in anything but the legal obligations zoning carries. And setbacks don't matter if trucks are idling even closer to our neighborhood than they already do. The project as proposed is a house of cards built only on contingencies. It is known, yes, in my backyard policies amount to open season for real estate developers and realtors. Many supporters of this project stand to benefit, while those of us in close proximity will be paying the actual price in our health, safety, and property values. I ask you to vote no on the proposed commercial center zoning and request a lower density zoning on the residential parcel to keep West Riverside from becoming East Missoula or the Y.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Lisa Thomas, and that was a lovely intro from the last speaker. I am from East Missoula. We are here. And Bonner is our little neighbor. So I am here to protect my neighbors and also protect the river. I've read, this is from Monica Trinnell's Substack, that you are being asked to make this decision without a DEQ or DNRC evaluation, which I think should not even be legal. But if it is, I would offer, don't make a decision without a proper investigation. This river is barely recovering from being a Superfund cleanup site. There is already a truck stop across the street. We're just doubling the chances of this river becoming a Superfund site yet again. And from what I have understanding, housing near a truck stop, please, is that desirable real estate? So there will be problems. And in the end, I think we should take care of the emergency calls made to the existing truck stop before we add another truck stop. 182 calls a year, one every other day. I think that needs to be addressed before we add more of emergency services servicing one specific area, especially a transient area. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Commissioners. How are you guys doing today? Good. My name is Sierra Futch. I've introduced myself to you before. We are also fighting off a town pump in Frenchtown that the community is overwhelmingly against and doesn't want in the neighborhood. I feel for Bonner. I relate to Bonner. In addition, I grew up in Potomac and lived in Bonner, right off of 2nd Street and West Riverside all throughout high school. So it's a very near and dear to me place. They already have a huge truck stop, as we know, and I remember when that truck stop went in 20 years ago. It was a lesser of the evils. They had a choice in Bonner between a new jail for Missoula, I believe, or this truck stop. And I remember when my parents worked on that Bonner Development Committee, and they went for the truck stop as opposed to the jail. So now we're talking about having some new infrastructure out there and some new businesses and affordable housing, which I'm absolutely for. But it seems like in order to get that, we have to have a lesser of the evils again and get a second truck stop. It's not something that's going to enhance the community. It hasn't already, and a second one is going to do them any favors. I printed an article off here that's online that the Flathead Beacon did, and it says, since 1989, town pump petroleum seep, a perpetual problem in the Whitefish River. So since 1989, there's been leaking, underground fuel tank leakage into the Whitefish River, and they've not mitigated it. It's a big problem. I'm told that now that's something that's finally going to be mitigated, but I can sure tell you that as much as Town Pump proclaims to be a good neighbor, this is not a good neighbor. It's what they already have, and it's what they're proposing to get again. And I think the question comes down to, how would you like that if it were you? If you would be okay to having a truck stop right outside your front door, then okay, we can approve the project. But I don't think anybody would be okay with that, even the developer. It's just not ideal. And so I think if we go back to the golden rule of do unto others, I don't think anybody would want this done unto them. And Bonner already had it. So I guess I would propose for the community of Bonner NC zoning. It's a much better alternative for them to what they would be potentially getting. Thank you so much for hearing me today. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Sierra.
Hi, my name is Annalise Hedal. Sorry, I had dental work today, so you're
sorry,
doubling
Annalise.
down. No,
That's
it's
rough.
fine. Former city councilwoman, nice to see all of you. Don't envy where you are right now. Also now a resident of Bonner. I live on Highway 200, right in back of the Kettle House. And for clarity, I don't know if this ever made the record or not. Someone had said that I was representing my support of this project as the Bonner Homes West HOA, and I'm not. Just so you know, I'm not on that HOA anymore, just for record purposes. But I've had a lot of thoughtful conversations with Greg. I'm also a realtor. I also understand the benefits of water and sewer and things like that. I'm on a community water system. I'm also on community sewer systems. And I've also invested in this community. For also the record, I used to live on Zog Drive when I was 18 years old, and bighorn sheep used to come into our park, and you couldn't move your car. And I used to work at Harold's Club, so I also love this community, and I don't want anyone to mistaken my support of Greg not being a part of the community. I am very much a part of it, invested in it, and really appreciate the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Thanks, Annalise.
Hi, my name's Tracy Hilderman. I grew up playing in the field before it was the yard log, and my family still lives in West Riverside. We are very concerned about the truck stop and everything that entails. We are also concerned about using too much water and wells going dry in our area. We are fine with housing and businesses that would be helpful to the community. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Judy Matson, and I live in West Riverside as well. I fully support the Blackfoot Crossing project, and I urge you to accept this amendment to the county growth policy and the zoning map as proposed and without conditions. I'm going to read my comment today because I don't want to start rambling. You requested speakers to bring something new to the discussion. I'll do that by looking at our history. Bonner, Milltown, and West Riverside are more than a century old, and they have different creation stories, but they share a common feature. They have modest houses on small lots. This simple feature is the historic characteristic of our area, and it is exactly what the Blackfoot Crossing proposal offers. It fits. We have all driven Highway 200 and noticed the charming houses lining the highway in Bonner. They were built in the national folk style of architecture. Basically, these houses were all built off the same blueprint. They were mass-produced, used a construction method allowing cheaper, faster construction. They utilized inexpensive prefabricated wood trim. They are typically rectangular, feature steep gabled roofs, and they achieve unique looks due to the various variations in design by the use of porches or not, and the placement of they are typically rectangular, feature steep gabled roofs, and they achieve unique looks due to the variations in design by the use of porches or not, and the placement and style of the porches and windows and how the entry faces the street. That idea, simple homes with small variation, again reflects what Blackfoot Crossing proposes, and it fits our history. I feel a sense of urgency. My community is struggling. Employers can't attract workers, even with good wages, because there's nowhere affordable to live. At the Bonner Mills alone, in recent weeks, 85 jobs were open, and this is from 2 employers. And if 100 new students enrolled in Bonner School next week, they could settle right in. The school has 5 empty classrooms and a full staff. Those students would receive a priceless education, and the school would qualify for $500,000 in state funding. Blackfoot Crossing can ease those struggles. Gregory Morse has a vision for attainable homes, and he can achieve that based on the numbers. He's playing by the rules and is offering a practical opportunity for our community at a time when we really need it. Please accept the proposal as offered. Don't change the rules in the middle of the game. Thanks.
Thanks, Judy.
Howdy again. Good evening. I wasn't going to come back up here, but I would like to say with overwhelming evidence that the community has submitted to you a collective of facts that offer insight into how a truck stop will negatively impact our lives, cause undue hardships ranging from, I'll skip all that, and basically, we would like you to move zone lots 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, owned by Blackfoot Crossing LLC and West Bonner Log Yard from ICH to Strictly Neighborhood Center. A vast majority of us do not support the truck stop. Every single person does support a positive development that will bring well-paying jobs, a variety of businesses, green space, long-term investments that pay back dividends in spades. What is the investment? That is the community. It's our taxpayers, our voter base. We refuse to compromise our well-being, health, and livelihoods to bow before the wants of an undative, perpetuating under the guise of a benefactor so he may set atop a king's ransom at the expense of our natural resources and tax dollars. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there. My name's Michael Collins. I've lived on 9th Street in West Riverside for 21 years. I've raised both of my children there. My son's 21. My daughter's 24. When I chose to move there, I really appreciated the small town character. Finke's gas station was still available to the public. I would say Finke's had 8 gas pumps. Didn't put up any resistance to the fact of the first truck stop whatsoever, because growth happens and income is necessary. Taxes are relevant, I understand. I've come to know that the 1st through 9th Street used to be called Finntown for the Finnish folks that settled there. We've already lost our identity once by being swallowed up and becoming West Riverside. Nobody refers to it, quite frankly, as Finntown anymore, where we do have a historic community center already, apparently. And I believe, to my knowledge, that there is also a community sauna that is historically registered in our neighborhood as well. Don't cramp our style, man. We can't have semis rolling down the road, especially now with them lowering the age limit of truck drivers to 18 years old instead of 21 years old. I believe I'm under the impression that per 100 people on roadways, that the next town over, I believe Granite County, I think is number 8 in the USA with deaths on the highway per 100 people. Truckers are dangerous. Please don't cramp our style. My children could. My son's first outing with his sister was riding bicycle down to Finke's Market to get penny candy. Finke's Market didn't make money off of penny candy, and Finke's Market didn't last too much longer past the first truck stop. I'm highly opposed to a truck stop, and extremely more opposed to them cramping the style of, to us losing our identity again. It doesn't fit. The small business coffee shop was just driven out of the truck stop across the way, and they said that was those are the type of businesses that we would appreciate seeing. Smaller businesses, the little guy getting an opportunity.
You just hit it though. Thank you.
I get you. Business.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Elaine Anderson-Nagel. I have lived in this area for 82 years. My first family came in 1897. We've had residents there the entire time. We now number 275. Most of us have gone through Bonner School and Hellgate School. And Bonner has seen a lot of awesome improvements and also a lot of not so great improvements. But right now, I would like to ask the commissioners to really think this over for the people who are involved. And I personally am all for it. Thank you.
Thanks, Lane. Do we have anybody online? Nobody online. Great. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize there was another person here.
Hi, I'm Suzette Dusso, and I just want to bring up the question of property and ownership and which property rights are going to be considered in this proposal, whether it will be the property rights of the owner of the West Bonner or Bonner log yard, or will be the property owners who are the homeowners of the West Riverside Bonner neighborhood. When two of these competing property interests compete, we go to zoning, because when one proposal will impact the lives and livelihood of the others, then we need to settle this out. So I'm looking at the Missoula County Growth Policy and its community goals and objectives, which should guide this decision. Dictates that the city and county should reflect the values of the citizens they serve and effectively accomplish the goal to protect critical lands and natural resources, enhance the cultural and social resources and the valued characteristics of our communities, needs to uphold our right to a clean and healthful environment as constitutionally mandated by our Montana Constitution. It should look at the economic and social well-being of the property in question. It should look at the long-term economic stability and high quality of living. Environment should not be sacrificed for short-term economic gain, and that the community should be involved in the planning and decision-making process that affect them. I'm going to also call upon the county's visionary Breaking Ground, which is the housing initiative you brought forward, where it recognized that a preponderance of our community members in the county recognized that housing was a critical need. Petition surveyors found 90% found that the most significant challenge facing Missoula County. I also would like to have you use the tools at your disposal. You have many tools. You have, number one, the authority to make this decision. We have the need, you have the authority. You also have the financial resources with which to make a decision. You can use TIP funding for housing. You have our community tax dollars to actually acquire property and to put it perhaps even in land trust for in perpetuity for housing for our community. So I consider you think these through and adopt the no neighborhood commercial, please.
Thank you so much, Suzette. See, we have two people online.
Susan Holloway, we see your hand up.
Hi, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, please say who you are.
Okay, I am Susan Holloway Long, and I am a local resident in the area. I'd like to express my support for this proposed subdivision. I'm speaking today as someone who lives in the neighborhood a block away from the project, and I care deeply about the future of this community. I've lived in Montana since high school, and I've built my life here. I'm raising my 2 daughters, and I truly love this neighborhood and everything that Bonner has. Because I live here, I understand why people feel nervous about change. That's natural in a small, tight-knit community, but I also believe that thoughtful growth is necessary if we want communities like ours to remain vibrant and sustainable. As a local realtor, I see every day how challenging it is, how challenging it has become for people to find housing in our region, especially for young families, first-time home buyers, and people who grew up in our area and they just aren't getting the funds to buy the homes that they should. Additional housing options in places like Bonner help relieve some of that pressure and allow more people to remain part of the community. I also want to briefly address the concern many neighbors have about the proposed travel plaza. As a resident of this neighborhood, I share the desire to protect the character and livability of our community. None of us want to see Bonner turn into something that feels out of place. But it's important to remember that the land involved has been zoned and used for industrial purposes. Compared to what could exist under current zoning, a thoughtfully planned development with housing, open space, and neighborhood scale commercial uses can actually be more community-focused outcome. Development's going to happen. The question is whether that development is intentional, planned, and integrated with the community. Projects like Blackfoot Crossing give us an opportunity to shape that growth in a way that includes housing, connectivity, and thoughtful design, rather than leaving the property in purely industrial use. Bonner sits in an incredibly special place near the Blackfoot River, and I believe the goal should always be development that respects that setting while allowing the community to evolve. I'm proud to live here. I'm proud to call Montana home, and I believe this project represents a positive step forward for the neighborhood and for the future of Bonner. Thank you.
Thank you. We have another person online, Randall. Randall, you have
Yes.
3 minutes.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name's Randall. I live out here in the Pittsville area. Guess I've been a neighbor out here, lived out here for 20 some years. And I've watched that area. I've always wondered, what is it going to become? And this proposal, it appears to me, would allow a lot of public access along the river and possibly up to the mountain. Much more that is there now. There's nothing there now. It's actually fenced and we're trespassing if we go around it, I believe. But the other positive I have about this, it's on the existing bus system that is already right there running by this establishment. It's on the existing trail system that runs right there through this system. Another positive possibility of this is the sewer system, that established sewer system that'll be monitored by the state DEQ. I think is a really positive aspect of this, because I know there are properties on the Blackfoot River and possibly in that West Riverside that have no septic system and have no replacement system. So I am in support of this, and I have met Greg a few times. I feel he's a great developer as far as the ability to reach out to him and talk to him. He has been that way, it seems like, or I observed that. As far as a truck stop, I think it's going to be a smaller truck stop. I think the big trucks are going to stay over to the one that already exists. I would hope maybe this truck stop established more of a niche towards maybe outfitting and fishing or hunting or something like that. So, but we really don't know. But I like the thought of it lit up. It's a dark 104 acres right now. And I like the thought of the public streets and the lighting and the sidewalks. The access to the school is absolutely fabulous. And the access that the fire station has to this area is excellent as well. So I guess I can end there and I say I do support this.
Thank you, Randall.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else online? Great. Okay, we left off last time. Jamie, do you feel like you'd like to, do you want us to jump right to discussion, or do you Okay.
Sorry about that. As is often, I'm going to speak to you and I'm going to speak to the community here. Sorry, is that better? Hang on, maybe I've
You
got
might need to.
Hello, is that better?
Yeah, you're gonna have to lean into it and if you
You might
go,
just hold it right
Oh, there
up.
we got a point.
yeah, if you could
There you
state
go.
your name for
There
the
we go.
record,
Is that better?
please.
Yep. Say your
Okay.
name and we'll off we go.
Yeah, my name's Gregory Morse and I'm the developer. And I've got a speech prepared, but I just want to address a couple of things. I got into this at the very beginning with the goal of, and I told a number of people at this community, I don't want to be an asshole. I also told a bunch of people that I was fighting for attainable housing. And I also told a lot of people that I didn't want to get into this unless I was doing something that I could be proud of and that I thought the community was excited about. So before I even bought the property, I talked to neighbors, I talked to the schools, and I put together a plan over the last 2 years that delivers an incredible amount of value to this community. I have listened. I have done everything that the county has asked me to do. We've had community meetings. I've had people over to the property where we sit around and we have a fire and we drink beer. We've done all of these kinds of things. And unfortunately, I've gotten myself into a position that crushes my soul. I understand that the community is not excited about a travel plaza. I have been given a set of criteria by this county with regards to the targeted economic development district. And I have a property that has sat there for 20 years where that property has been undeveloped and not advancing the goals of the community or the growth policy. I am incredibly passionate about this, and it, like I said, it crushes my soul to be in this position. But I cannot achieve the goals that I have set out to do, and I believe are in alignment with the county's goals of delivering attainable housing at scale, jobs for the community, without somebody buying land and building something. Unless the county is aware of other avenues that could change that. And so to that end, I am not committed. The one way you stay alive in real estate is you have many ways to get somewhere. This property has many ways to get there. And I have an open mind, but I also can't take a risk that is going to put me in a situation that that is untenable. And the last thing I wanted to say about that is, if the risk is too high, this property is zoned heavy industrial. If I can't make this work, I have to move it on to somebody else. That somebody else is a heavy industrial user, and I'm not going to say what it is, but that is the people that are circling this property and want to buy it today. So that's what I wanted to put out there, and that's what I wanted to say to everybody who's really unhappy with me. If you meet me, you know I'm not excited about this, but what I am excited about is delivering attainable housing and great amenities and resources and being respectful of our community. So with that said, I am going to hop a little bit in to a prepared speech, and then we'll kind of wrap this up. And Blackfoot Crossing is 107 acres. 50 acres are a thoughtfully designed, community-oriented neighborhood with 400 attainable starter homes for 1,000 Missoulians and businesses to serve the larger community. It's 30 acres of protected open lands with trails maintained by our nonprofit that we're establishing, the Blackfoot Trails Alliance. It's 10 acres of manufacturing with better paying jobs, producing products for our community and exported across Montana and surrounding states, supporting local businesses and families. And the new owners of that building, and soon to be hopefully the property around it, are actually here. They were here last week and they're here today. Thank you for choosing Blackfoot Crossing in Bonner as your new home. And yes, 10 acres might be a travel plaza. Not 15. Thanks to Missoula's new zoning, over 30% of that land must be landscaped. And on the site, it's buffered on every single side by mature landscaping, parks, berms, riparian setbacks, and our own commercial development. As it's also placed as far from the surrounding community as physically possible. If you want to look beyond our 107 acres, the ripple effects are what makes this transformative. Our trails will unlock access to dozens of acres of Milltown State Park that are currently inaccessible, to millions of acres of Forest Service land, to Woody Mountain and the beginning of a trail along the banks of the Blackfoot River. Our wastewater plant, once extended beyond our property, will let families in West Riverside and Milltown with failing septic systems connect again, get mortgages on their homes, build an ADU for a family member, or maybe rent one to help make ends meet. Our attainable housing puts families into the community, which means kids in Bonner School, filling their budget, and enables the 200,000 square feet of empty space in the Bonner Mill to come alive again, replacing jobs when Ed shut down. That's all driven by attainable housing. And if you talk with them, they're going to tell you that that's the biggest impediment to attracting business to our region. That's kind of an audacious vision, but 10 acres of heavy development could catalyze life-changing impact across this community in our great state. I haven't put this into the public record, but I'd like to show you what Blackfoot Crossing could look like, and I'm going to do it for the first time in public tonight. And I got disconnected. Hey, Jamie, could you get me back on this? And I'm going to keep talking, and we'll come back to that. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry, I got disconnected. There we go. And I've shown this to a lot of people, and I actually have discussed it extensively with the county and the community. This is a vision for what Blackfoot Crossing could be. This represents roughly 50% of the 107 acres. The area in white off to the left is, in the upper left-hand corner, is the existing large building that's up there that's going to be a factory soon. In the lower left-hand corner, that is the location of the potential travel plaza, and then I would highlight that there is a 5-acre lot in between the travel plaza and the community here. That 5-acre lot is currently zoned CC. The intent of that 5-acre lot is to be able to provide larger community-serving commercial uses and act as a buffer between the travel plaza and that neighborhood on the east side of the property.
Greg, it's currently zoned ICH.
Yes, currently zoned ICH, yes. This area that we're talking about is basically east of here. That's the drawing. The green area is the travel plaza, and this area next to it would be a community-serving commercial area. Oops, sorry. This neighborhood is designed thoughtfully with lots that are very similar in size to the West Riverside neighborhood to the north. The lots have alley loaded, so the cars are in the back and the people are in the front. Many of our homes on the front side will actually have trails and greenways in front of their houses so that people can congregate and create community. One of the things the community has asked for is community serving commercial uses. So we've actually established a new town center in the center of the property that has our goal to have, just like attainable housing, to have attainable commercial space for small businesses. Across the street from that, we've established a town grassy area, and then we've built a little road next to the grassy area and the bandstand on that grassy area with food truck. Food trucks need water and they need power. And we're actually going to be putting an area where you can actually close off the road for community events and having the food truck set up there. We've also planned to have a community garden, a dog park, and one thing I want to throw out there, and this is why I never like to show these kinds of things, because anytime I show something, people generally turn it around and try to use it to attack me. I camp on that property in my construction trailer every time I'm here. And I camp in the middle of the forest on the east part of the property. And every time I camp there, I say to myself, my gosh, this forest is beautiful. If we build houses there, there's definitely going to be a challenge of having to take those trees down. And so on July 4th, 1806, and I learned this from Judy and the Bonner Milltown Historical Council, who we've been sponsoring hikes across our property for years, that I've been working on this project. On July 4th, 1806, Meriwether Lewis walked across this property. Correct? So he actually, this is the trail to the buffalo. So this is how they went up to the buffalo up in the Great Falls area. And our trails from this property are all currently blocked. We are opening those to the public. I do show a hotel there. I would say having a hotel here is unlikely, but it is a path to being able to keep the forest and provide another community serving amenity. I will tell you, I have a hole in my jacket. I'm probably kind of a cheap guy. I don't think we want to build another Paws Up. I want to build something that if we do that I can afford to stay in and that I want to bring my family to. And so we've designed that hotel with dorms, a hostel building, and with regular hotel rooms, and then ultimately also some more expensive units. I spent too much time talking about that because I think it's unlikely to happen, but I feel like I have to talk about it so people don't come after me for it. It also could just be more homes. I'm really passionate about this, and I'm really excited to bring this to the future. I'm going to go back to my presentation. Sorry, I'm losing it a little bit here. Next, I want to correct the record. I want to address some public comments that were made from the last meeting. And I've reached out to the person who made some of these comments directly, but I didn't hear back. But they're actually really good questions. And frankly, everybody up here who gives feedback, I think they're great. It's great feedback. I really have no argument against it. But I want to correct the record. First of all, the quote is, "Day one, we pay, the developer benefits, and we hope for the delivery of future promises." I hate talking about the TED, but the TED is the tool that delivers attainable housing. Let me be direct about how the TED district actually works. The developer, me, mortgages my house, mortgages my friends' houses, and pays millions of dollars at the developer's risk to entitle, engineer, and build public infrastructure. Roads, sidewalks, stormwater, wastewater, things that are usually provided in a city. In this case, none of that exists. So how do you deliver attainable housing when you don't have those things? The answer is you can't. In a TED, the county takes zero, and probably, John, maybe you can argue with me, or Andrew, but the county takes zero financial risk. The developer only gets reimbursed if and when we build the commercial space, the industrial space and housing that creates new property taxes. And this is what's crazy about this. If I take a single dollar from this board in tax increment financing, you, the commissioners, control what infrastructure gets built And by state statute, any housing needs to have workforce housing in it. Commissioners, you have enormous power over this project. You've seen me, you know that I'm committed to the attainable housing vision, but I also ask you to hold me accountable for delivering on that. And I'd ask everybody in this room, for every promise that I've made, to also do the same. So let me rewrite that statement. Day one, the developer pays, the community benefits, and maybe the developer benefits. Second, it was alleged that we're subsidizing developers' infrastructure with the county emergency services budget. Here's the truth. Yes, new development increases demand for emergency services. That's why I've spent exactly over a year working with Andrew at the county and Paul Finlay, the Missoula Rural Fire Chief, on this exact challenge. Any application for TIF in our district will include a carve-out for emergency services so they get the funding that they need. This isn't an afterthought. This was built into the plan. Let me rewrite that one too. The developer's leadership and risk-taking in building public infrastructure that the county otherwise can't afford is creating jobs and attainable housing that the county desperately needs at no risk to the county, while generating additional funds for emergency services in schools that serve the larger community. I hope that you all see that I have drilled into this process in extensive detail to try to figure out how to execute on this mission. And that is what I wake up to do every day. And I am crushed that we can't find some way to make this work in the way that I would prefer this to be. There is a choice before you. There are no sides in this fight, only winners. Suzette? Suzette is somebody who disagrees with me strongly. We had breakfast, we talked, we hugged. We disagree on policy, but we agree on the end goal of what we're trying to do. And it crushes me that we stand on other sides, but I really don't think there are sides in this fight. There's really only winners. This county is poised to approve one of the largest attainable housing and community developments, building developments it has ever seen. It will be transformative. We should celebrate that. One path, community center zoning, allows 10 acres of heavier use to fund this development and make it a reality with confidence. The other path, neighborhood center zoning, could mean even more attainable housing and more community serving commercial space. Everybody says we want that. Well, my development brings that regardless of whether we have a travel plaza or not. But, and here's the but, it also loads so much financial risk onto the project that I could be forced to sell the land to a user who needs none of the infrastructure and delivers none of the community benefits. Most likely that user is a heavy industrial user and an extractive use. That is not what I want. I will only go there if I'm forced, and I will be with grief. I'm open to creative thinking, but the challenge is immense. I will lean into whatever choice is made today and continue to fight for attainable housing and this community, but the clock is ticking. I need to move forward. So I ask you one more time, whatever choice is made today, help me rally the community around the kids who will grow up here, go to school here, and fight to make the world a better place today. Help me rally the community around the trails, the public lands, the sidewalks, the jobs, and the businesses the site will support. Help me rally the community around attainable housing for families. Don't let this project die. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thanks. And John's approaching. John is on Greg's team. This is not public comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Slotnick. John Newman, again, here on behalf of the developer here, Blackfoot Crossing. I just wanted to make one point, a point that you both know well, and that is that decisions regarding rezoning are supposed to take into account the zoning designation that's proposed for the property in the aggregate, not necessarily one specific use that may or may not occur there. And so here, what you have is you have unanimous agreement between the planning board, that the advisory board that's appointed to examine these sorts of proposals, and the professional planning staff that looks at these things, that CC is the appropriate designation for this property, and the findings of fact and conclusions of law support that. The planning board had the opportunity to consider NC or ICL. Both of those zoning designations were noticed for the public hearing. They had the opportunity, they didn't. They recommended approval of CC, and so I would urge you to follow the recommendations of the professional planning staff and the recommendations of the advisory board and zone those eastern parts of the property CC. Thanks.
Thank you. Gregor, do you have anybody else from your team who want to speak?
Jamie Erbacher with WGM Group for the record. I'm going to forward through some of these slides just to keep within a time constraint here. So I just want to come back to the growth policy and zoning criteria. The existing land use designation, there's land use and zoning designations are a relic of the past. The land use designations and zones represent the industrial uses that once were there. The county conducted an industrial land study in 2014, which indicated that there were that the Bonner Mill site south of the Blackfoot River, so not this property, was ready for redevelopment because there was sufficient supply of access to transportation and utilities and/or limited environmental constraints. It goes on to say that Missoula County has an excess supply of the industrial zoned lands, given current market rate absorption rates, and all other potential industrial sites could be redeveloped to accommodate non-industrial, non-manufacturing uses such as healthcare services, accommodations, food services, retail trade, professional, scientific, and technical services. Missoula County is in the process of updating this land study. And based on several discussions, it seems as though the heavy industrial zoning is not as largely desired as it once was. Historically, heavy industrial zoning has been desired for uses that require air quality permits, highly flammable uses, or heavy or overly noisy uses. While there's still a need for this zoning in some instances, these uses can also locate further out in the county in unzoned areas. The proposed growth policy and zoning amendments align with the overall purpose and intent of the 2016 growth policy as updated by the 2019 land use element. As you've seen, development of this property has been limited due to the absence of supporting infrastructure. Previous studies have evaluated sewer service in the Bonner West Riverside area and found the cost to be prohibitive for the community if developed solely by the public dollar. Within the land use element, one of the goals for infrastructure is to develop a solution to wastewater treatment in the Bonner Milltown and West Riverside neighborhoods. Over the last year and a half, Blackfoot Crossing has been working with WGM as well as Seek Engineering to develop a public water and wastewater system that could support development on the subject property and surrounding properties. Public water and wastewater systems are expensive and require denser development and commercial uses in order to be sustainable. The requested growth policy amendment and zoning amendment would allow for future uses that could sustain the financial cost of the initial systems. The surrounding community would not be required to connect to these systems. However, they could be expanded to future properties if the community desires. So overall, the growth policy looks to support a clean and healthy environment, economic development, protection of public health and safety, private property rights, proper infrastructure, and recreation. The existing land use designations may promote a few of these items. However, the proposed growth policy and zoning amendments could be a drastic improvement in all of these areas. He scared me. Let's see, let me jump ahead a little bit here. Just give you a quick summary here. So overall, this plan includes supporting recreation, protecting the environment, supporting housing, and supporting economic development. The parcel has been a dead zone for decades. We know that change is hard. However, I do believe this is an excellent proposal. And even if it doesn't come to fruition as planned, the next person down the line will need to have the elements that we have discussed today in order to get a development approved. That includes public water and wastewater, transportation improvements, again, taking the sensitive areas and zoning them appropriately, placing a commercial zone that is intended for audio-oriented uses along an arterial road, as described in the purpose of the section of the community commercial zoning. And the NC zoning expands the neighborhood to the north while providing the allowance for a mix of uses with a primary focus on residential housing. With that, I hope that you support the request of the zoning and growth policy amendment. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. So are you all done? Okay. No, thanks. Not at this moment. Thanks so much, Greg. So right now we're going to do a 5-minute break, and then we will come back and do questions of the development team and of our staff. Thank you. 5 minutes. All right, everybody, take your seats and we'll start up again. Okay, just so we're all fresh on the information, we're going to have Kathleen and Jenny talk about their recommendations, and then we will jump to commissioners' questions of the developer and staff. So please go to it.
Sure, I'm just going to share an exhibit. Kathleen Arthur, for the record. We are recommending approval of the proposal shown in this exhibit, as requested by the developer. And this is the growth policy land designations. And this is the exhibit for the zoning. So commercial center, neighborhood center, agriculture working lands, resource and open lands, and industrial center light.
I would also note for the zoning and growth policy amendment that the findings, am I reverberating? No. The findings in the staff report also support the zoning for the NC zoning that much of the neighborhood advocated for. Should you decide to go in that direction, you can rely on the findings in the current growth policy amendment and zoning staff report for that different zoning than what the applicant requested.
Great, thank you.
And then lastly, I would, those are your first two motions. Your last set of motions are on the subdivision, and I will bring up a slide that shows a recommendation essentially for approval of all three variances and the subdivision, subject to 38 conditions of approval that will ensure the development is done in a way that is sensitive to the neighborhood and meets their infrastructure needs as well as their quality of life needs.
Great. Thank you so much, Danny.
You're welcome.
Okay, so questions from Dave and Juana, and I won't be able to stop myself from asking questions either, so go to it, sir.
Okay, I've got a couple questions here. I'm not sure who wants to field this, but since there has been a fair amount of discussion of the potential of gravel mining based on what the zoning district or zoning designation is, just for clarification, is gravel extraction or gravel mining allowed in neighborhood center zoning? That's
No, it is not.
Okay, thank you for that. Secondly, there was a comment earlier about DEQ review. And could you just say a few words in terms of how DEQ is or is not involved in land use decisions as we are contemplating today? Because I don't know that there's anything that's particularly out of the ordinary in terms of how this is progressing from any other land use reviews I've been through.
Yeah, I don't believe there's anything out of the ordinary, but so that I don't get anything wrong, would it be all right to ask Jamie to address that?
Yes, it would. Jamie.
Or
Arbs.
anyone from their team?
And you'll need to hit the button there.
Reminder, I'll probably forget that every time. This is a very complex project. I have been dealing with DEQ across this entire project for this entire time. I deal with them. We have a landfill on the site that we have the first permit to eliminate a landfill in the state of Montana. 5 acres of the landfill on the site are the actual potential travel plaza lot, and we have the first permit to actually eliminate one. We are working with DEQ and DNRC on our public water system, and also Missoula County's Public Health Department on that area. We're also working with DEQ on a permit for a wastewater treatment plant, of which we have completed the 30-day window for the comments on our environmental impact report. We are now responding to that. Pending that resolution, our wastewater treatment plant would be approved for to apply for a permit for construction. So that is those are the main things that as a developer I've been working on for the past 18 months or so to be able to make this work. Did that answer your question?
Not exactly. So let me take another run at it and just, I guess.
Maybe a more technical question like.
Well, way less technical, actually, probably. So in terms of our actions today on growth policy, zoning, or subdivision, are those actions predicated on anything that DEQ needs to do that they have not already done?
Yes, they have to, as Greg was describing, review all of their proposals and ultimately make sure that it meets DEQ, their parameters for issuing sanitation approval for their systems, for their sewer and water systems. That has not, and that's not unusual. That's always how the order of operations goes in a development like this. It would be too onerous on DEQ to ask them to approve those systems prior to our approval, because it takes so long and is so in depth. And would you say that's a fair characterization, Jamie's?
Yeah. Yes, Jenny. Thank you. Jamie Erbacher with WGM Group. So we are simultaneously going through this process. This process has to conclude with a recommendation. All of the public comment that is taken here today is then sent to Health Department and DEQ. They take that into consideration also when they are making their determination for approval. So we finish this process, get our recommendation, then DEQ makes their determination on the water and wastewater plant. We have to have that before we can come back and file any of the phases of a subdivision, including the Blackfoot Crossing Phase 1, which is the left side where the travel plaza would be proposed for, because we do intend to connect this entire development to the public water and wastewater system.
So in other words, this is the proper sequencing of review and approvals. Thank you.
Thanks. Oh, Greg, can I ask you some questions? Or Mr. Morris, sorry.
Yes.
So I wanted to check in with you about how the TED and the lifespan of the TED and TIF as a financing mechanism play into your timeline right now.
Correct. There's a lot to the statute of TEDs and TIFs in very few words, actually. I'm advised by, I've worked with Missoula County's bond counsel as well as my own representative, as well as Andrew and his team on this. these houses are not attainable, and this project doesn't make sense without those resources. The houses become very expensive. And that's why this district was established, and that's also why the state added workforce housing to the definition of public infrastructure. So knowing that, we took on this project, knowing that we were told that the goals of the county were to deliver jobs and attainable housing, which our project will do in spades. And so if the TED district expires without it being extended, it does sort of kill the project. And it just doesn't kill one thing, it kills everything. And it puts it in a situation in which it defaults to its natural use, which is predefined by people well before us of heavy industry. There are paths to extend the life of a TED, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention those, but they require they require approvals that may or may not, they may be harder to get, I don't know, both from CFOs and banks and all these kinds of things. So that is something that could be discussed. But then you run into the challenge of creating the increment, because there's two parts to it. One is you have to extend the life of the TED so that you can continue to use it, because it sat here for 15 years without having hardly anything done. The other trick is creating the increment. And the proposed project, the 10 acres of heavy industry project, creates a heck of a lot of increment. And it also it pays for a lot of the other improvements, such that if the project zoning were changed to NC, the amount of money that would have to have come up to replace that is large. And I wouldn't say that it's insurmountable, but it's very large and would require more creative thinking, I guess is what I would say.
And I'm just going to go out on a limb and say more creative thinking would probably require more time.
Yes, but we also have to be careful that the reason that I'm able to do what I want with this project, which is to make less money, believe it or not, is because my investors are my family and friends and not Wall Street. If I have to replace this money and keep dragging this thing out for a long period of time, the challenge is that I may not be the person to do that. And that means that I have to exit the project. And I asked, we have a permit for a gravel pit on the site. It has been issued by Missoula, we have a zoning compliance.
You have a zoning compliance permit.
Correct. There's a whole nother permitting process required for that, which that's not me.
It's not us either, it's DEQ.
Correct. So that's the challenge here is a function of we can't drag this thing out for 6 months. If parties can come together and figure out creative solutions in a short time frame, I'll listen. I've been listening for 2 years, but that's the struggle. The TED is it. I'm going to be giving a speech to somebody you probably know, Kevin Davis at the Reserve Street Working Group, on why I think TED is the #1 tool for delivering for sale attainable housing in the state of Montana. I've even offered to give it at the Missoula Housing Conference. I'm really passionate about this stuff because there's not a lot of tools to deliver for sale attainable housing. Sorry, I kind of went off on a diatribe.
A little bit. I was curious about the timeline. I think I understand it, but I just wanted to make sure that I was accurate with you on this as well. So you're saying in order to build the sewer, which would facilitate the housing, you need increment such that we could bond against the increment and cover the cost of putting in the sewer. Were it not for this mechanism, all those costs associated with laying the sewer would be laid on top of the cost of the housing. They would no longer be attainable. That's basically the equation.
And I will actually, one thing I will amplify that with is, it's not just the dollars that are raised from the TED district that come off the price. It's literally without that, I then have to raise money from very expensive sources. And therefore, for every dollar I get from the TED, I'm actually dropping the price by way more than $1. And so it's this, and I'll tell you, I am really passionate about attainable housing. I have studied this in extensive detail, and it's really hard. But when you see a path to be able to deliver attainable housing with this, you just got to jump on it.
Right. So I just want to get your thoughts on looking at this project compared to the Grant Creek Crossing project, which I'm sure you're super familiar with. They're happening roughly at the same time, using the same mechanism, a TIF as the mechanism inside a TED district. So at the Grant Creek Crossing, the developers there are not doing some big act of vertical construction on the front end to create the increment. Rather, they are financing the infrastructure and then relying on the housing that follows that infrastructure to pay back the bond on the infrastructure. Could you do the same thing?
I could, but that then takes you down the path of requiring different capital sources to execute on that vision. And thus the housing becomes much more expensive. And so it really boils down to that is a huge factor in there. And the fact that we also only have a very short window, because this TED, the Grant Creek Crossing TED you guys created last year.
Yes.
Right? This TED was created 12 years ago, 10 years ago, and they're good.
So you said short window. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so this TED expires in 2029. Andrew, please correct me if I'm wrong, but it expires in 2029. In order to extend the TED beyond its original 15-year statutory limit, the county is required to issue a bond. If a bond is issued, the TED district can be extended for the length of that bond, be it a 20-year bond, a 10-year bond, maybe even a 30-year bond, except for in 2022, they changed the rules, but ours operates before that. And so our intention would be to have this increment created, request that a bond be issued, and then the life of the TED will be extended for the length of that bond. And then in a very capital efficient and low risk way, our goal would be to develop sections of this property, one TED issuance at a time. And by going through that process, that enables us to deliver this attainable housing vision.
And Gregory, when you said one TED at a time, you're talking about townhome exempt development, just so you are clear.
I was wondering about that too.
Yeah, that's a different TED.
Two things.
One's TEDD and the other's TED.
Correct, yes. TED is a TEDD is a targeted economic development district, and a TED, and James, we argue, or Jenny, we argue about why do they name these things this way, but a townhome exempt development, which is how we intend to phase out the property development over the next 5 to 10 years, because we're not going to build 400 houses in 1 year.
Impossible, yeah.
Correct.
Dave.
Andrew, question for you. So is it the case that bonding is the only way to extend the life of a TED, or would it be possible to sunset a TED and create a new one in the exact same geographic area?
So Andrew Higemeyer, the Community and Economic Development Director for Missoula County, I oversee the TEDs. The only mechanism to extend the life of a TED is through bonding, doing a tax increment finance bond. You can also, a district could expire, and then when it sunsets, then you could theoretically start all over and create a new district. You could also, the commission could also rescind a tax increment, a TED district, end it early, and then start all over on a new district.
So there would be a mechanism to create a semi-seamless transition with a new TED without having to bond, have a project that would need to be bonded for, in theory.
There's a process around it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to toss out, we have two boards that work on this very issue, the MDA and the MJAC, the Missoula Development Authority, and the Missoula Jurisdictional Advisory Committee. They would decide such things. And Dave beat me to the punch. Those were great questions. I believe that if you were to approach these boards, we could operate in a fairly seamless way, especially because the rules have changed. As you well know, you're probably more versed in this than I am, but in 2025, the legislature said we could now use TIF inside TEDS for workforce housing. Prior to 2025, it was only industrial development. And this, because of the zoning and the timing of when this was created, it was all about industry. Now we have a whole new world and also a new climate where housing is at such a premium. I believe that these two boards would listen thoughtfully, and we may be able to move seamlessly forward without the intense time pressure of we need to see vertical construction. Actually, I believe it would have to happen right now so that by midsummer of 2027, this thing would be up and completed on the tax rolls, and we could bond against it by 2029, which is some pretty intense time pressure. I personally believe looking towards sunsetting early, creating a new TED, buy some time for the creative thinking that you're talking about, which actually time-wise probably wouldn't take that much longer than the construction of the Travel Plaza.
I will add that there are other complexities to this, and I will give you just examples. And I'm gonna, these numbers may not be 100% accurate, but they're generally accurate. Businesses pay a lot more property tax than houses do. Not as a percentage of overall, but the percent that is actually charged to them as a result of their...
The tax rate is higher.
The tax rate is higher. Thank you for clarifying. So I did actually, I listened, right? I haven't slept for days. I had 6 cups of coffee yesterday. We have to build a roundabout. We have to rebuild Anaconda. And if you do the math of changing the zoning from CC to NC, you still have to do all of those things. But now the TED has to pay for that as opposed to the developer of that site, which is not me. And so you end up in a situation where even if we build a lot of houses there, it's hard to backstop that increment. And I have put forth a plan to staff of a number of things that the community or that could be done to make this work. But the challenge is there's 10 things that need to happen, and I need to get 7 of them to happen. And it requires a lot of different people in the county and other groups to be able to make that work. It is not insurmountable, but it is also incredibly risky for both me personally as well as the community personally. Because if it's risky for me personally, it ultimately becomes risky for the community because of the existing zoning that's in place. And yeah, I just trying to lay it out there.
Great, thanks. Juan, do you have any questions? Sorry, we've been monopolizing all this in person.
No, you guys are asking all the questions, but or that I have. But I didn't know if Jenny was she going to present 3 different options for us to chew on today? Because we're not really going to be talking about whether we can extend or expire or an expiring TED today. That's just I don't even know when does that conversation happen.
So my understanding, and Andrew could please correct me if I get this wrong, that Mr. Morse would need to go to MDA and MJAC and talk about that, and they do meet monthly.
Okay, but for the purposes of today, maybe, Jenny, did you have 3 different options that you were kind of presenting for us?
One, if you're talking about the zoning,
What we have on the screen right now from Kathleen's presentation is the developer's request for zoning that staff recommended approval of. And I think the other option that seems to, I won't fill you in with all the other options, but the one that seems to be the most popular alternative is for the 5 lots down in the southwest corner, lots 23 through 27, that are currently in like a peach pink color, which is different than the pink up above the green.
Yeah, the CCs to be NCs, or that's what folks have also asked
Exactly.
about.
That's,
Okay, and
yes.
And again, or maybe Gregory, you can explain again, if these lots became NC, explain what happens then, or from your perspective, Gregory.
From my perspective, as it currently stands today, with the information I have been given by working with the county over the last 15 months, if it were zoned CC, my project is dead. If there are things that are...
If it were zoned,
You
I'm
mean
sorry,
NC.
if it were zoned,
NC.
if it were zoned, if those 7 lots were zoned neighborhood commercial, you feel your project would die.
I did clarify it with the information that I currently have available today. If, as a result of the community engagement that has occurred over the past weeks, that may have opened up the eyes and ears of potentially other resources that would be available in the county, that could change something. But it is, as it currently stands, NC is a deal killer without having other variables that come in here.
Can you say a little bit more about like what those variables need to be, or Josh or Dave, do you guys have some?
Look, there's lots of things. There's like NeighborWorks has the Missoula Housing Impact Fund. Could NeighborWorks buy that lot and bank it for a period of time so that we have more time to be able to find a user for it? Can't speak for NeighborWorks, but that could be a possibility. There is a number of other tools of municipal finance that are available. Rural special improvement districts. We could do phased rural special improvement districts to be able to build this increment section by section and then potentially refinance those using the TED. I have a complete plan of other scenarios because look, I don't want to be in this position, right?
No, I understand. I understand.
Yeah, but I also, I'm just a guy who's put himself out to bring attainable housing and jobs to this area and taken a big risk. And I got to de-risk some of this stuff because this is my step that once this deal is done, if it's approved, I don't have to talk to anybody about this. I don't mean that from a financial perspective. I can do what I want after this point. I don't have a challenge with regards to the project, but I've got to sell these lots.
Yeah.
And I've got to have somebody build, or we need to have some other problems. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Could you queue up the map for the growth policy amendment that would align with NC for lots 23 through 27?
Yeah, I do have one that closely resembles it with NC. There were some discussions about keeping one part of lot 23 commercial center, but just disregard that for now and pretend.
So we're pretending we don't see that red?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't have an exhibit that just shows all NC.
Is there a reason why this was created with?
With that commercial center sliver, yeah, there was a question about Greg's utility and if that could be constructed without commercial center
But it could be-
zoning, but it is an accessory to subdivision infrastructure, and so it doesn't need that commercial center zoning.
So the utility lot could be an NC.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I say something? We prepared this because the county this morning made the determination with regards to the wastewater treatment plant being a major utility. And now that that issue is resolved, that addresses that one reason for that lot being CC. However, the community has also told us clearly that they would like to have a market in this area. Neighborhood Center has a maximum building size of 10,000 square feet. There aren't many 10,000 square foot grocery stores. And so our intention would be for that CC zoned lot to be a place that a grocery store could go at a point in the future. It is also not eligible for a travel plaza could not be built on a 5-acre site that is not fronting on a major road as the other corner of the property. And so although it technically could have a travel plaza placed there, it would be incompatible with the other Missoula County zoning regulations. And so the reason that we prepared this initially was partially for the issue of having the major utility, i.e. the wastewater treatment plant in that location, but it's also important for providing a community need. And so that would be a path that would satisfy the, I think, the development perspective of the community needs, but it does not serve the financial need of it. And I could give you, for instance, if that property is zoned NC, we could probably go sell off a lot. But the people that I sell off a lot to usually aren't having my perspective with regards to attainability and the like. And so there's just, like I said, there are paths, but we would have to like drill down, get people from different organizations in a room and try to figure out how to solve problems. And I will tell you, this county has, and this team has always worked with us from the perspective of trying to achieve the objectives as you as commissioners have laid out. They have worked with us to get, for 15 months to get to this point. I have the utmost confidence that this team can do that, but it will require, maybe that's the word, and maybe will from executive leadership to make some of those things happen. And I don't say that to drop this in your lap because I don't want to do that, but it's going to require some creative problem solving. And I'm game.
Jenny or Kathleen, do you have a motion prepared that would, for the growth policy amendment, accommodate the lots 23 through 27 as neighborhood center?
I do.
Would you mind pulling that up? And just by way of some prefatory remarks, I'm not asking for any questions from anyone out there. So thanks everyone for coming. It's super important that all of you online and in the room and over the past number of weeks showed up. And I have no reason to doubt that every single person in the room here and online has the best intentions for creating a vibrant community in West Riverside in the future. And I thank you for that. I thank you for all the thoughtful comments, both in terms of the applicant and in terms of the community that have been brought forward. And as is always the case with these sorts of decisions, particularly land use decisions, it's a matter of balancing competing interests, of which there are clearly many. Also, I would say that that today is a cautionary tale. It's a cautionary tale that unless folks feel as if they are being brought along on a project, it will feel as if something is being done to them. And that, I think, has borne out in the robust participation that we would actually love to see every Thursday afternoon at this time in this meeting. But nonetheless, I think some extreme creativity is going to be necessary moving forward. And I would also say that in light of what I've heard today and in prior meetings and in my own thinking in our deliberations, neighborhood center and the findings of fact that go along with neighborhood center are probably the best land use choice for the 5 lots to the west. So I'm stalling here as it looks like there's typing going on the screen as we speak. So Josh.
I'm just going to add a few comments while they type and not interrupt your motion at all, though. So I'm going to echo Dave's thanks for everybody coming out last time and this time. You all did a great job and thoughtful, smart comments to a person. Really appreciate that. And I have to say, I really appreciate your conviction, Greg. It comes through. You present, I believe, authentically. I hear and feel from you that your vision is to create housing people can actually afford, create a neighborhood with trails and access to public land, really make something wonderful here. And I believe that that is what you want to do. I also believe that in this moment, the Travel Plaza feels like the way to get there, the path of least resistance. If only we had more time, executive will, and a whole lot of creativity, buy-in from staff and from the greater community, then maybe we can see our way through. I'm going to say we can meet all those conditions. That can be done. We do have executive will saying we want to see this neighborhood vision. You've done a beautiful job of creating that vision. I feel like articulating in graphics and in technical development detail what the neighbors are saying in terms of what their values are. Nice job. I feel like we can do that, and doing the right thing often takes a whole lot more creativity. But we are rich in that in our nonprofit development community, in people who work in this space, and on our super crackerjack staff. And this is a vision we all want to see as well. So though it may be more difficult, will be more difficult, I believe together we could get there.
And I'm just piling on with this extreme creativity that you guys both have referenced. I mean, this is the sort of project that Missoula County is made for. This is the sort of project that Gregory, that you've brought forward, that the staff and Jamie Erbacher and Andrew Hegemeyer, Jenny Dixon, Kathleen Turner. I mean, you guys are amazing, and this is a very, very complicated project. And it is going to take extreme creativity to move forward, but we can do this. I really do believe we can do this in a way that honors the neighbor and honors the interests of the county and the future.
And I believe we have a motion.
I have not made it yet because there's still words appearing on the screen.
Greg wants to say one more thing.
It should be all set for you.
I love the word extreme creativity. I am an incredibly creative person, sometimes to my own detriment. I would like to request a substitute motion that you have to a motion you haven't already made, which is that we table this. Because we need to figure out the path forward before we change the zoning. Because if we don't change the zoning, if we change the zoning without a path forward, you end up in an environment in which there is a zombie land that can't be developed. And so I would like to request that we defer the vote until which time we can convene those people and figure out a plan and move it forward. If we can figure out the plan to move it forward, I think it makes sense to change the zoning. That would be my request, because right now we don't have a plan that works with the zoning.
Jenny.
That is, of course, you're at liberty to do that. It was one of the 3,000 questions we were scrambling to answer in the last week on this project of if you were heading in the direction of NC, what kind of timing would help Gregory figure this out? So, and we haven't had a chance to talk to John Hurt about this yet. But some options include, and this may benefit you, Gregory, is you take action today, and then we look at either a delayed publication of resolution of intent or an on-time publication of resolution of intent, but not sign the resolution to adopt the zoning until we have some assurance, so that you have that assurance of project approval, but the zoning, you can decide at the resolution to adopt stage, if this seems like the subdivision project is dead, then you don't have to sign the resolution to adopt. And this would be something we'd have to.
And it's also tough because one of the findings is with regards to wastewater. So if the wastewater is not fundable, we end up in a situation where we now have an incomplete finding and the zoning would have to revert to industrial center heavy.
And we can draft the resolution of intent to incorporate all of these kind of if-then scenarios that might lead you to then not sign the resolution to adopt in 30 days or however, whatever period of time you might specify.
John, did you have any thoughts? My inclination would be to move forward today with the resolution of intent.
So you can do that. As an attorney, I get nervous when I hear about extreme creativity because I don't know what that means. And so
it means doing something legal is what it means.
Absolutely.
Well, that's reassuring. But I think what I'm hearing Jenny say is that by adopting a resolution of intent to zone, that's still giving you a period of time between now and the time that you would consider final adoption to perhaps, explore extreme creativity and try to get everybody more comfortable with how this might work. And if you can't get there, then obviously you're not obligated to pass that resolution to adopt in the future. Okay.
Greg,
does that help?
John?
Yes.
Whichever one of you would like to speak.
Yeah, why doesn't he ask?
Do you know if the 30-day window between the resolution of intent and the signing of the resolution is discretionary, or is that a requirement of statute? I don't know the answer, obviously.
And could you build
I'm
into?
glad another attorney doesn't know the answer. I'm nearly certain it's required.
It's required. So
And if it's not required, it's our practice, and perhaps it's required by regulations?
Not by, no, not by our zoning regulations. It would be from statute. And that's where I'm wondering if we could build into our resolution of intent a longer time frame than 30 days, perhaps 90 days or whatever.
And if that's possible, if it's discretionary to do that, I think that could potentially be an avenue. But if it's not discretionary, then that's the hands are tied at that point. I would say if you were to go ahead with the resolution of intention and there is no option to have the final signing of the resolution effective date be more than 30 days out, then there goes the idea of radical creativity in the interim.
Or,
if that makes sense.
Oh, go ahead, John.
Extreme creativity.
Extreme.
So the statute that is applicable is 76-2-205, and it requires the Board of County Commissioners to publish notice of the passage of a resolution of intent for at least 2 weeks in the newspaper. And the notice must state that for 30 days after first publication of this notice, the Board of County Commissioners may receive written comments on the creation of the zoning district and the regulations. And then within 30 days after the expiration of the comment period, the Board of County Commissioners may, in its discretion, so again, you're not bound, may in your discretion adopt the resolution creating the zoning district or establishing the zoning regs. The statute says within 30 days. I think.
John, is that 30
there
days
might-
plus 2 weeks?
No, it's not 30 days plus. Well, it's 30 days after the first publication.
And that has
I
to
don't
happen
know.
within 2 weeks.
It has to, they have to be published within two weeks of each other. And so I'm wondering, can we delay publication?
That's what I was thinking,
Yes.
exactly the thing. So if we waited 13 days from today, then you got 45 days-ish, right?
Well, I think it was 30 days after the end of the comment period, correct? Did I catch that right? I'm not a lawyer.
It's after the commission's action, then you publish a just after the commission's action today, right? You have an undefined time period in which to file a resolution of intent in the paper as a public notice so people know to comment. Once it's after that first day of publication, you have 30 days total for them to sign the resolution of intent. And the statute that John just read is that it has to happen within that 30 days. Can't be 31. But there's nothing saying that that publication has to happen tomorrow. It could happen, let's say, two months from now, or whatever kind of time frame. I mean, I don't know.
No, I agree. I mean, you wouldn't want to delay forever, but there is a reasonable period of time that you could delay the first publication, in my opinion.
And okay, and then after, so I'm sorry to keep making you repeat yourself here, but so let's say that there, 60 days, 90 days for the first publication, 30 days of public comment, and then within 30 days from the close of public comment, they may, the commissioners may, in their discretion, sign the final resolution. Is that what you just read?
No, it's first day of publication. By day 30, they have to act on the resolution to adopt. There's not another 30 days that I hear you describing.
Is that okay? Sorry. Sorry.
I mean, I can read it again, but Jenny's correct.
Okay, because I heard something different, but.
Nope, within 30 days after the expiration of the comment period, the Board of County Commissioners may act.
That sounds to me like there's a 30-day comment period, and then within 30 days after the expiration of the comment period. So it could be up to 60 days. Okay, so the period of publication could be infinite. There is no definite, like you said, we'd want to have it within a reasonable time. But say the period before you publicize could be 60 days. Then you have 30 days of public comment, and then within 30 days of the close of the 30 days of public comment, the commissioners would need to act on the final resolution. So under that circumstance, you're talking about like 4 months. If you were to do it that way, delay publication for 60 days, 30 days of public comment, 30 days after public comment.
Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
That sounds.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, of course.
It's a team effort.
Okay, so
I'm glad somebody understands what
So-
I'm reading.
Just a question for you, Jenny. If we were to go down this path,
Yes.
between now and when we actually got to zoning, would the zoning be this industrial heavy that it is right now?
Yes, it stays as is until you sign a resolution to adopt.
Right. And you could do a gravel pit between now and then.
Not entirely, because there is another permit that's required, which takes a long time.
Yeah, with the zoning compliance would be quick, but the DEQ would be long. Interesting. So I'm just speaking of preventing a gravel pit here.
Yeah.
So if you asked us for a zoning compliance permit for a gravel pit under the current zoning, even though we change it, they would be vested. The gravel pit would go forward in the new zoning. Right? So let's say Mr. Morse decided to reach out to us tomorrow to get a zoning compliance permit so we could do a gravel pit on this industrial heavy land. And we go through this process, and 60 days from now, we change the zoning. Mr. Morris can continue his path with the DEQ on a gravel pit, even though the zoning has changed, because he's already vested in that he applied for a zoning compliance permit under the industrial heavy zoning. You make me do it again?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't want to say definitively that would be the scenario.
Okay.
Because, vesting is always fact-specific. I haven't thought about it in terms
Okay.
of a gravel pit. I don't know how far along in the process you need to be in order to be vested for purposes of a zoning change.
Okay.
And
I would highly recommend not doing that.
just to be clear, I have said this entire time that is the absolute worst outcome. That is not what I want.
You're striving to prevent that.
Yes.
Should we go with the motion? Okay, let's go with the motion. I move to adopt the resolution of intent to amend the Missoula County Land Use Map, Map 18, to assign the neighborhood center, open resource and recreation, working lands, and industrial center land use designations to the property legally described as Tract 1B of Certificate of Survey 6988 as requested by the applicant, except that lots 23 through 27 of Blackfoot Crossing Phase 1 shall be designated as neighborhood center based on the findings of fact and conclusions contained in the staff report and public testimony.
Second.
Okay, any public comment? You got to come and push the green button and do the whole deal.
You told me to push the button. Is a question a comment? Because we had that map up where there was the one little section.
Hang on,
that's red.
just a sec. How should we handle that sort of thing?
Is that what you
Just
want?
ask me a
Do you-
question, ask it to me, and I'll direct.
Is this
Fantastic.
the map that you want?
So you said that we would have to have the CC
We
in
need-
at least one area to get a grocery store.
Correct.
That needs to be in the proposal.
Well, yes and no, over 10,000 square foot.
Yeah, and
So
you
we
can
don't know
have
what
a
the
warden.
market is.
You could have a warden scale grocery
Okay.
store there.
Okay.
Okay. And what was your name, please?
Sorry, Jamie Lawrence.
Thank you.
So yeah, that was my question, is if you've got this motion of intent and it's all at the neighborhood center level, which of course, at least it sounds like a lot of us are wanting, but Greg needs at
Well,
least, if we're getting a grocery store, would we?
And
need
there's
that
no
little-
guarantee that,
Oh,
I mean,
I know.
some,
But it's a way to.
some person out there would want to have to
Someone would have
invest
to
in such
want
a
to build a
thing. We
grocery
can't-
store there.
Yeah, and
But
there's a
when-
grocery store not very far away too, just to be clear.
Oh, yeah, if you like shop at Albertsons. But if that 10,000 square feet requirement is something that, if that gives us more of an option towards a grocery store, but it also basically prevents it from being a travel plaza, that might be a way towards what we're trying to do with our extreme creativity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other public comment? Do have a motion and a second, so a person would be speaking specifically to this motion.
I just want to be crystal clear too, that your motion is not including this commercial center part.
Correct.
That is very correct. Extremely correct.
Okay, then, seeing no more public comment, we will vote. All in favor on this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Did we hear from Juan?
Yes, aye.
Okay, thank you. Imagine there's more to come.
This is your motion for the zoning.
Okay, I will run with that. I move to adopt the resolution of intent to amend the Missoula County zoning map to show the property legally described as Tract 1B of Certificate of Survey 6988 as Industrial Center Light, Neighborhood Center, Agricultural Working Lands, AGW 40, and Resource and Open Space as requested by the applicant, except that lots 23 through 27 of Blackfoot Crossing Phase 1 shall be zoned as Neighborhood Center based on the findings of fact and conclusions contained in the staff report and public testimony.
Second.
Any public comment on this motion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 So I am going to bring up the motions for the subdivision for you, okay? Share my screen. Oh, darn it. Okay, share my screen. Motions are right here. You see those okay? Just take them in the order they're there. They're listed there. Yeah, it's a mouthful.
Okay, are we voting on these variances single or in the aggregate?
Well, I think you should probably do them individually because variances 1 and 3 are conditionally approved with specific requirements through condition that mitigate the approval of the variances.
Okay. Variance number 1, I move to conditionally approve the variance request to section 3.3.2.4 to permit lot 5 to be a through lot, subject to a condition requiring a 1-foot no access strip along West Riverside Drive except for approved alleys.
Second.
Any public comment? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Variance number 2, I move to approve the variance to section 3.4.7.3 and table 3.4.7 to allow West Riverside Drive to remain at its current paved width within the existing right-of-way and not require installation of curb and gutter along the on-site portion of this roadway between 5th and 9th Streets.
Second.
Any public comment on this variance? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Variance number 3, I move to,
Sorry, I think it just blacked out. It's okay now.
I move to conditionally approve the variance request to section 3.4.9 to allow West Riverside Drive to remain with no bike lanes or boulevard sidewalks, subject to a condition requiring installation of a minimum 5-foot wide curbside sidewalk.
Second.
On the on-site portion, I should have, that little phrase should be at the end. I didn't include on the on-site portion of West Riverside Drive.
On the on-site portion of West Riverside Drive?
Yes.
Okay.
I can't see. This is blocking my way.
So Juan, did you second that?
Yeah, let's hold on. Let's read it again.
Okay,
So
thank
it's-
you.
Okay, it's all of that text. And the additional piece is on the on-site portion of West Riverside Drive.
Any public comment on this variance? Please come up.
Jamie Lawrence again. So it states curbside sidewalk. Are you meaning roadside because there are no curbs? Is that
Yes.
what it is meaning?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, niggling little details.
Yeah,
are
no,
what
but
make
that's a
us
good
all
point.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my public.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Did one second?
Aye.
Oh, Juan, did you second that?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 And finally, I move to approve the Blackfoot Crossing Riverfront subdivision based on the findings of fact and conclusions of law in the staff report and subject to the recommended conditions of approval. Do we want to add in there public comment somewhere or not?
I just did. My apologies.
Oh, there it is.
This
Okay.
has been such a
Yes, so
arduous
I'll
process.
do a do-over here. So I move to approve the Blackfoot Crossing Riverfront subdivision based on the findings of fact and conclusions of law in the staff report and public testimony and subject to the recommended conditions of approval.
Second.
And I'm just going to add my own comment, and I'm really glad you added the public testimony, as that was so important to this decision. Hearing from all of you, deeply informed what we are doing right now.
Can I?
When we get through the process. So any public comment on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 We done with? Okay, Mr. Morse, please.
One thing that I just wanted to say is, since the last meeting, I wrote a document called the Everybody Wins document. And I've shared that document with several people, not at staff, but I've told them the contents of that. I honestly believe there is a path here that allows everybody to win, and that's what I want. The zoning that is now enacted has the ability to deliver now somewhere 700, maybe 1,000 homes. That could be the most attainable homes in the state of Montana. And that's what I wake up for every day. But I can't do it without your help and Juanita's help and Andrew's help and Chet's help and Randy's help. And if we can get together and put together a tiger team or something like that to resolve those problems, I will stick with my mission, but I'm going to need help to do that. And I do believe there is an everybody win strategy, and that's literally the title of my document. So I look forward to engaging with the county and staff, as well as the community, as I have this entire time for almost 2 years to do that. But I appreciate your support on this. Although this was not the outcome that my first choice outcome, if we can solve some problems and what is it, radical or extreme creativity? Extreme creativity while being in the bounds of our laws.
Yeah.
I think there can be some really good that comes out of this.
I mean, you just mentioned a bunch of just whip-smart people who also share this desire to see attainable housing out on the landscape. And we have in our midst an incredible nonprofit developer community. And you have people as sharp as John Newman on your team. I think we can roll up our sleeves and get there.
I'm rolling them up right now.
Thanks.
And the last thing I'm going to say is, last time I invited people to Kettle House Brewing at 5:30 after the meeting. I had 4 people show up that had a different perspective, and then I had 15 or 20 people that showed up from another perspective. I really want to see everybody in the community at Kettle House Brewing tonight. There's pizza and beer on me. Oh. And if you guys can come, I'll take it too.
I wish I could.
I know you could. Extreme creativity.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you, everyone.
See y'all.
Thanks, everyone.